This conference will now be recorded.
Right, let's start today's session. So in the last session, we were discuss about core Python, that is basic Python we discuss. In today's session, I'm going to start with the advanced Python programming, that is object-oriented programming we are going to discuss. Okay, so from here onwards, your concentration little bit more because lot of advanced topics will come across in this advanced Python. So I'm going to begin with the object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming. This is OOPS concepts. There is no meaning of yes here. So only object-oriented programming. It's related to yes. Means S means not structured, no service, no software. It's object-oriented programming related. So as I said in beginning session of Python, Python is a structured oriented. Structured oriented means we discuss about all data structure and its complete operations. Python is a structured oriented. Structured oriented. Next, Python is a functional oriented. Functional oriented means all functional uh, logics we can use. Already we discussed functions also. Function with different type of parameters. Function with different types of arguments, local variables, global variables, and all. And Python is also a object oriented. So now we are talking about this object oriented only. So structured oriented, functional oriented completed, and now we have to discuss about object oriented. Okay. Now here in object oriented programming, mainly if your programming language is object oriented, then what is the advantage of object oriented programming language? So these are the advantages. First one is security. 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 Second one is reusability, usability, and third one is application enhancement. Application enhancement. These are the advantages. Security is there, reusability is there, application enhancement is there. These are benefits only, sir. These are not features of object-oriented programming. Features are different, benefits are different. Okay, still features are there. I'll talk about features also. But right now, these are only benefits of object-oriented programming. Advantage. If your programming language is object-oriented, then what advantage, what benefits you will get? That I'm saying. Now, first benefit is security. Security means here I'm speaking in terms of code security, not user security. User security is different, code security is different. See how the way you are going to write code and how your code is secured from other applications or other programming. So this is security in terms of code security I'm speaking. Your code is secured because we are going to use in object-oriented programming such features like encapsulation, inheritance. Okay, so security purpose, abstraction also we use. So code security is most important in object-oriented programming. Suppose in functional oriented, we create a function and we call the functions at any time. But how the functions are secured? So that all functions now under comes into class. So this is object oriented. So mainly in object oriented programming, we need to discuss about class and objects only. Inside the class only, we are going to place total code. So that's make more security because without interaction of class by creating object, we cannot access any class stuff. So that is what security is possible here. So security is important in object oriented programming. And reusability, one of the main advantage of object oriented programming, sir. So reusability will save a lot of time and reusability will provide flexibility to develop the application. So mainly there is a inheritance concept is there in Python object oriented programming. That inheritance concept through we can able to provide reusability. Reusability means one time We can write application logic many times. We can able to reuse them in different places without rewriting code again and again. So it will save a lot of time. So reusability also one of the important benefit if object oriented programming is there. And finally, application enhancement means, for example, according to client requirements, if you develop any application, according to client requirements, if you develop any application, that application through clients are providing services to their customers. Later, according to their customer needs, if they want to change some extra features, extra services, if they want to provide, then what they'll do means simply they can do with the application enhancement means they will add some more extra code to the application, and they will provide some extra services to their customers. That means we cannot re-implement the application. We can what we can say, extend the application logic from where we implemented. From there we can add some services to the existing application. We can provide them. So this is application requirement, application enhancement here. Application enhancement is the process where we can enhance the features of existing application, and we can provide that features to the customers only. That is application enhancement generally. So application enhancement, reusability, security, these are the main advantages or benefits of object oriented programming, not features. And once again, I'm saying these are not features, these are benefits. If your programming language is object oriented, these benefits you will get. Now, in object oriented programming, we need to talk about mainly two things. One is class as well as object. So what is class? According to technical definition, class is a collection of collection of collection of variables and methods. Class is a collection of what's are actually variables and methods. And what is an object means? Object is an instance of class, or object is used to represent a class. It is used to represent class. Who will represent a class? Object. C. Class is a model, or class is a plan or architecture or design. So object is nothing but what actually it's a physical existence of class. For example, if you want to construct a house or if you want to build a house, so what we need? We need a plan, or we need a design, we need a model. So that is class. And what is an object means? According to this model, after completion of your house construction, so we can say that is an object that represent a class always. So class is a collection of variables and method. It's a technical definition, but general definition is class is nothing but it's a model or plan or architecture or design. Object is nothing but what it is, a representation of the model, or it is used to represent a class. That is object. So class is a collection of variables and methods. Object is an instance of class, or it is used to represent a class. So who will represent a class means object. So after implementing class with a lot of variables and methods, if you want to access these variables and methods, compulsory object is required. So object only will represent the class. So that's what I'm saying, that object oriented programming it is. Okay, object oriented program in the sense object will play the role, very important role in object oriented programming. So these two importance here, class and object. For example, you can say, example, I can say a bird is a class. A bird is a class. Bird is a class. Okay. So what is an object means? Any type of bird is nothing but object here. Suppose here you can see parrot is an object for bird class. Parrot is an object for bird class. Just an example here. Okay, this class and object relation look like exactly. But apart from class and object, apart from class and object, if any programming language, if any programming language wants to become as object oriented, wants to become as object oriented programming, then that that programming language must and should satisfy the following features, must and should satisfy the following features, features. These are the features of object-oriented programming, sir. Exactly. Features of object-oriented programming. So what are the features of object-oriented programming? Most of the students knows that. That is encapsulation. Next one is abstraction, and next one is polymorphism, and next one is inheritance, like this, inheritance. Encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, inheritance, like this. Okay, these are the main features of object-oriented programming. So one by one we'll discuss now theoretically, but even practically also I will start, but not now. We have to discuss lot more basics related to object-oriented programming. After that only we can start with each and every feature in detail with real-time scenario coding. So we'll see this encapsulation means what. See, generally it's a very basic feature of object-oriented programming. So what is encapsulation? Encapsulation is just it is the process of providing restriction to access variables and method. Encapsulation is the process of providing restriction to access variables and methods. We can say that methods. So why we need to provide restriction? Why we need encapsulation generally? Why we need encapsulation means to prevent the data from modification. To prevent the data from modification. See, if someone is trying to modify the variables and someone is trying to access your methods for changing the data or variable values if they are changing, then if you don't want to allow them, then we can go for encapsulation feature. How we can achieve the encapsulation mechanism in object oriented programming means we can achieve encapsulation we can achieve the encapsulation by making variables and methods are private. Variables and methods are what actually privates are. So making private variables and private methods, we can achieve easily encapsulation mechanism. So once we make our variables and methods are private, then even someone is trying to modify the data of private variables and private methods, they cannot access because our variables methods are private. Declare the private variables and private methods so that we can restrict them for not accessing clearly. That is encapsulation mechanism here. So encapsulation is the process of what actually providing restriction to access variables and methods. So why we need encapsulation means what? To prevent the data from modification. If someone is trying to modify the data without user intervention outside the class, then we will not allow them. So we will permit them in the within the same class, so that we are making variables and methods are private. So we can able to access these private variables and private methods within the same class, not in outside the class. This procedure is nothing but what? Encapsulation. It's a common feature in every program. It's not a big deal actually here. Just by making variables and methods are private in restricted way, that is process called encapsulation. So you know that in the capsule symbol, capsule is having two parts. So we can completely what we can say, if you remove that capsule two parts, then that is not going to be mix up. Okay, so variables and methods are coordinate together. You can't extract them. If you extract means out of the box it will come, so everybody can able to access that variables and methods. Same here also, we can encapsulate the fields, we can encapsulate the methods for not accessing anybody only within the same class we can permit. So this is exactly encapsulation, just theoretical description. We will look into practical also, no worries at all. And what is abstraction here? Abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation, hiding the implementation, hiding the implementation, but providing the service. Abstraction is the process of what? Hiding the implementation but providing the service or result. Suppose you have implemented some logic. Okay, you have implemented some logic. Someone is trying to access your logic. So if you provide complete access to them, so total logic, they will also know that what is the logic exactly, total logic. If they will know that, so there is no security of your code. So that's what we can do. We can hide the implementation whatever we have, but through our implementation, what result, what service is coming, that service I can provide to them. So this is service oriented, not functional oriented. Means we are not going to disclose our logic, we are not going to disclose our functionality. Functionality can be hide. Okay, logic is going to be hide, but only service and result we are going to provide. So in every web application development, also in real time right now, nowadays, whatever we are accessing the service through online, so we are getting only service. No, we can able to send money from one location to another location, one account another account. We can able to uh, order the items through online. We can able to purchase, we can able to do any transactions like that. We can able to book the tickets like that. But that website people will not disclose the complete information. They will hide how your transaction is going to take place, internal mechanism, that is. So that is hiding. So our responsibility is only get the service, so not for implementation already hiding. So we are providing, they are providing services to us, we are going to use the services only. So in object oriented programming also, so many classes we can implement, and each and every class is having lot of methods and variables, but it doesn't mean that all the classes can communicate directly with one class to another class. Some classes are confidential classes and confidential fields are there. That fields we cannot disclose to any other class, so that we can prevent them for not seeing that all the implementation. So this process, abstraction process, we can say that encaps hiding the implementation but providing the service. Implementation is hide, but complete service result will be provided to other classes only. That is possible, sir. Here. That is abstraction. So abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation, but providing the service clearly. Okay. Now, so we will take all the examples in coding part only so that you'll understand, but it's not correct situation to explain through coding. So lot of things we have to discuss in before going to starts with coding of object oriented. So polymorphism, the term poly poly means many, poly means many, and morph means behavior. Poly means many and morph means what's actually behavior. Morph means behavior. Behavior. Poly means many and morph means behavior. In polymorphism, if we take any operator or any method, it acts differently. Depends on situation, it will behave differently, sir. Sometimes suppose plus operator is there, plus operator can be used to add two numbers. At the time plus operator behavior is different, and plus operator can also use it for two strings adding. In that case plus operator behavior is different. Same one method, if you can take any function, you can take function can act differently with a different type of parameters dealing. So function can one parameter function with one parameter different behavior, function with two parameters different behavior, function with four parameters different behavior. Same function, whenever we change the parameters like increment or decrement, the behavior is going to change or not. Yes, this concept is polymorphism nature. Poly means many and morph means behavior. For example, as a human beings, our behavior is different with our parents, our behavior is different with our friends, our behavior with difference with the outside persons. So person is same but behavior is different. This is called polymorphism. But in Python object oriented programming, polymorphism can be of two types. One is static. It also called as compile time polymorphism. It also called as what? Compile time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism. or it also called as early binding. That's not required. Static or compile time. Next one is dynamic or runtime polymorphism. Next one is dynamic, dynamic or runtime polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism. So static, dynamic. Two types of polymorphisms are there. See, overloading is related to static polymorphism. Overriding is related to dynamic polymorphism, sir. Overriding is related to dynamic polymorphism. Got my point? Overloading is related to static polymorphism. Overriding is related to dynamic polymorphism. Overloading means it's a refinement technique. Code refinement technique, we can say that this is code refinement technique. Code refinement technique. Overloading is a code replacement technique. Code replacement technique. Code replacement technique, we can say that this is. So general meaning of overloading is what? So overloading, overriding under comes into polymorphism. Okay. General meaning of overloading is what? For example, as a person, you have already some work to do. Again, if you assign some other work to same person only, then the person will become overload because he feel extra burden. That is overloading. So if I have already class at 7 a.m., again our team is asking to take more classes like 8, 9, 10. So I can be overload. So I'll become an overloaded person because so extra task I have to do that. So overriding is not like that. Instead of having a session like 7 a.m., they're asking me to take 8 a.m. so that they don't feel overload because instead of one session, other session is replaced here. So in object oriented programming also, so if you have a method or operator, same method, same operator will have different situation, different task it has to do. That means what actually code refinement technique, that is overloading is happening. But overriding means already one method or one operator is having some work to do. That existing works, in place of that existing works, we are assigning to new work. That is called replacement technique, overriding technique. That is completely okay. So overloading is nothing but what? Refinement technique. Every time we should keep on changing the code according to requirement at the time of during the program writing or compilation time only. But overriding means replacement technique. Code can be replaced during the program execution time. That is called dynamic polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. Polymorphism means what? Changes behavior. The behavioral changes of method is happening at runtime. That's called dynamic polymorphism. The behavioral changes of method or operator is happening at before runtime, that is compile time, or at the time of writing the code. That is what we can say compile time polymorphism. So these two under comes into polymorphism. But last not least feature, it's very important, topmost feature in object oriented programming, that is inheritance. So inheritance is the process of simply creating a new class from existing class. Inheritance is the process of new class, creating new class from existing class. In inheritance process, new class is also treated as, just a moment. New class is also treat, sorry, in inheritance process, existing class also treated as parent class, or we can call it as base class. Newly created class, new class is treated as subclass, child class, child, child class, or derived class like this. Existing class or parent class or base class, new class, child class, derived class. Whatever. See, one more class also there. So super class, we can also call it as. At the time of super class, we can call it as subclass only. Okay, the combination is anyone. You can use super class if you say, we have to say subclass. Base class if you say, we have to say derived class. If you say parent class, then child class. If you are saying like existing class means new class like this. So what is the main advantage of inheritance is, inheritance advantage is reusability and extensibility. Okay, advantage of inheritance, advantage of what? Inheritance is reusability and extensibility. Advantages of inheritance is reusability, and extensibility, like this, extensibility. We can reuse the code and we can extend the code. For example, one parent class is there. From that parent, we can extend one more like child class. Child class can get all features from parent class. The main advantage of inheritance is child class will get all features from parent class. Inside the parent class, whatever we have implementation, that implementation by default applicable to the child class again and again. No need to implement any code in the child class because already we have implementation in parent class, that implementation directly applicable for child class. And even one child is having already inherited from parent, from this child we can create one more class also extension, that is extensibility. So reusability, extensibility is the main advantage of inheritances. There are different types of inheritances are there. So look at this types of inheritances, types of inheritance, types of inheritance, types of inheritance. What are the types of inheritance? First one is single inheritance, single, single inheritance. Next one is multi-level inheritance, multi-level, multi-level. Next one is multiple inheritance, multiple. Next one is hierarchical inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. Next one is hybrid inheritance. This is all inheritance types. Single, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical inheritance, all are. Okay, these are the types of inheritances simply here. Single, multiple, multi-level, hierarchical, all. First, we'll talk about single inheritance. Single inheritance means what actually? Simple. Creating a new class, creating a new class from single base class or parent class. This is called single inheritance. Creating a new class from single base class. For example, look at this diagram. I'm trying to do the diagram. Now here single inheritance, this is creating a new class from single base class. So I'm trying to create the inheritance symbol should be always arrow mark should be on the up only. So because the class is inherited from parent only. So for example here class A and then what it is class B. So class B is inherited from what? A class. So this is what inheritance we know, single inheritance only. Because here creating new class is B class from single parent class A class. So B class will get all the features from A class only. This is single inheritance, creating new class from single base class. Okay. Next, multi-level inheritance means creating, creating a new class, new class from already derived class, already derived class. Creating new class from already derived class is called what actually? Multi-level inheritance. Let's see the diagrammatic representation multi-level how it will be. So for example here this is one class already create this is second class already inherited from first class and again one more class I'm preparing third class here. Now you can see this is now here this is the symbol inheritance. So this is what actually multi-levels are here. Multi-level, multi-level inheritance. So here you can see class A, and then here it is class B. Look at this class B, and here it is class C here, class C like this, class C here. A, B, C. This is C class is inherited from already derived class. That is what B. B is inherited from already what A only. So creating new class from already derived class is called what? Multi-level. This is multi-level. This is called extensibility. I can say that. So C class inherited from B. Again, later we can create one more class D also, E also. Like this, we can extend. So this is multi-level inheritance. We can say multiple means this is creating a new class, creating a new class from two or two or more base classes. two or more base classes. This is multiple. Let's see this diagrammatic representation. So this is creating new class from two or more base classes. Base level two classes I'm preparing are here. Two classes, class A, class B, and this is what actually class C. So here child class will get benefits of both parents now. Now you can see this is class A and this is class B, and here it is class C, class C. Now this is what we can say multiple inheritance here, multiple inheritance. So we are creating C class from two or more base classes A and B. So A and B are parent classes. C can able to access the functionality from A as well as B also. Both base classes functionality C class can be used here. This is multiple inheritance. And hierarchical inheritance means creating a new class, creating a new class, creating child classes, sorry, creating multiple child classes, multiple child classes from single parent class. Single parent class is called what actually? Hierarchical inheritance. Creating multiple child classes from single parent class is called hierarchical inheritance. Now this is hierarchical inheritance. Look at this, creating multiple child classes from single parent class. So this is exactly hierarchical inheritance. Now parent class is only one, but childs are many. Class A is a parent and class B is inheriting from A and class C also inheriting from A. This is what actually here hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance. And finally, multi-hybrid inheritance. Hybrid inheritance is the combination of multiple, sorry, multi-level, multiple, hierarchical inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hierarchical inheritance. A combination. There is no single, sir. Okay. Strictly remember, no single inheritance is involved here. Only it's a combination of what? Multi-level, multiple, then hierarchical inheritance. These three combination is called what? Hybrid inheritance. So let's see this how it will look like hybrid inheritance. So hybrid inheritance means we can go for this one only. For example, I'm writing here. This is also hybrid inheritance. Just I'm adding. This is also hybrid inheritance. I'm extending, sir. I'm not creating separate diagram. Just try to understand. So I'm extending here. This is hybrid inheritance, class D. Look at this. This is hybrid inheritance only. A, B, D is a multi-level. A, C, D multi-level. A, B, C hierarchical. B, C, D multiple. Got my point? B, C, D only these three multiple. So look at this. B, C, D is multiple inheritance. Here multiple involving. A, C, D is multi-level involving. A, B, C are hierarchical also involving. So this is the combination of hybrid inheritance, multiple, multi-level, as well as hierarchical combination only. So we will all discuss these all diagrams with all what we can say each and every inheritance in detail with practical implementation clearly. Okay, these are complete theoretical introduction of object-oriented programming, and it's time to begin a basic programming of object-oriented. But before that, I need to give some two syntaxes here. So one syntax is syntax to create class. How to create class in object-oriented programming. So you should know about syntaxes. So let's try to create here class name. That's it. This is only syntax which I can give. Example is class name is student or employee or anything you can take. For example, employee, here I'm taking employee. So employee is the class. So this is the class creation in object-oriented programming of Python. But only class creation is not enough, as I said that, because it's an object oriented programming. In object oriented programming, compulsory what we need to do, object you have to create. Without object creation, we cannot communicate with class, we cannot able to use the class stuff. So object is mandatory here. So that syntax also you have to know that. So let's see this syntax to create syntax to create object to class. Syntax to create object to class. What is the syntax to create object means? So here you can see object name, or else we can say object reference variable. Object reference variable name equals to class name. This is the syntax. Example I'm taking, object reference variable name equal to s. If it is student, you can take s, or else you can go for e. E for employee. E means object reference. Employee is what actually class only. That's it. So why, sir, this is not object? Yes, it's object only. Okay, object reference variable. Why it is? Why not object only? Yes, object also we can call it as, or object reference variable name also you can call it as. It's not a problem. Why I'm saying object reference variable name, in the sense the variable which is used to refer an object is called object reference variable. Got my point? The variable which is used to refer an object is called object reference variable. So E is an object reference because it refer object only. So this variable is called object reference variable, or else we can call it as object only. If you want to access anything from this class employee, so you must and should use this object only. So this is Python syntax, sir. In object oriented programming of Python, how to create object, all these things we have to use this only. Class name, object name equals to employee. Let's create class and object, everything programmatic way. So let's flip to program. This is my first program of object oriented. So same structure only we are going to follow in upcoming session also. Let's try to create a new class, that is object oriented programming 1. First program of object oriented programming 1. Let's create a class. Class is a keyword, and class name you can take any name, like I'm taking employee here. So employee. But look at this class name. I'm not going to implement anything right now. Pass I'm using. But class name is always camel case convention only, sir. Because for example, employee here. So look at this EMP small letter I'm giving here. So here underline squiggly is available. This is not PEP standard Python enhancement proposal. So you can see when we place mouse pointer on it, class name should use camel case convention only. Camel case convention means in every word. For example, my class name is EMP details. This is perfect name because EMP is one word. The word letter starts with capital E. Second word is details. D letter capital. Correct only. But if I give like small letter, it's not a camel case convention. Even it will work fine, but it's not a standard name. Okay, so naming convention is important. So this is camel case convention. So EMP details or employee name only, I'm taking only one word. E name capital letter, E letter capital. Fine. So right now we don't have any information inside the class. I want to write some description about my class here. This is employee class, for display the employee details. Like this I'm writing my description, means the class is having something. What something here it is? This is just description about my class. But do you want to get class information? Okay, if you want to get any information related to class, then we can get. How to get? There are two scenarios are there. To get the information related to class, there are two scenarios. One scenario is directly you can use help of class name, employee class. So once we execute this program, you will get complete information related to class. So look at this employee class information we got. Help on class employee in module main. So every .py is act as a module that is having main and class employee. This is employee class for display the employee details. What we have written description inside the class, then you can see we got this clearly. So right now inside the class, what is there? Something is there. Something means it's a doc string. Doc string means description about our class. Fine. But you can see I'm not using this. I'm just commenting this only. Same thing I'm trying to comment, sir. Let's include this into comment section. Now you can see I'm including into comment section. So now you can see here inside I'm taking what actually comment section only. This is under comes into comment section. It is not your description, sir. Right now it will give error, sir, because inside the class body nothing is there. Indentation error will come. Okay. So comment means what? This line will not be considered Python interpreter. So that's what class should not be empty. Even any block of code in Python is not empty. So inside the function or inside the class, inside the any if condition, else block, code should not be empty. So if you want to make empty, say how to represent, that is what pass only. But I'm not using any pass keyword inside the class. That's what we got indentation error. So this is not considering as a statement inside the class. So we can use pass now. This time it will work fine. Again, you can see we will not get any description. Did I get this description? It's not a description, it's a comment. Okay, but when it will become description means you have to use within the triple quotes is description about your class or a doc string about your class. Now we got the description about class. Here you can see this is employee class for displaying employee details. Okay, so if you want to know about this class, help of class name, this is one way. Next option number two is there. So we can create object to the class. How to create object to the class? Just I have shown e equals to employee class and print e dot underscore underscore doc. Doc is a special method of Python. So doc document string. It means, so we are using e means employee object here. This object always represent what class? Employee class. So in employee class, whatever the description we have, that description we are printing. So e dot underscore underscore doc. This is exclusive description of my class actually. So this is employee class for display the employee details clearly we got. So there are two options are there. How to get a description about your class. Class name. Inside the class name, what description you have, you can get by using directly help of your class name, or else apart from help function, we can create object to the class, and object through we get the information e dot doc. Doc is a special method. Print e dot e means object reference. Document means in this object, who this object will reference what actually employee class, employee information we got clearly here. Okay, yes. So let's see here. What's you're saying?
Oh, sorry. I was answering to somebody else. So actually, I have a question. This the underscore doc. This is a private, right?
No, no,
Uh,
no, no, no private, no private, because
th-
I will
I
talk
forgot.
about private. No,
I
I'll
forgot
talk
the
about.
concept about uh, the string. There are different type of I forgot the name now. If there is
See,
a two dash, then it's majestic,
private
something like that. Magic.
magic method, magic
Yeah.
methods, or else we can say special methods. We can say.
Okay.
See, actually, you are asking like that in the variable context. If the
Yes. Yes.
variable is starts with underscore, this is private actually. But here you can
Yes.
see
I'm.
left.
Mhm.
This is private variable, and this is not a private variable because the name which is starts with starting two underscores, ending two underscore. These are all called as special methods in Python.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So a lot of things are there, special methods we have to discuss. Now, right now we are using only class creation, and this is the description about class. And to get the help of the class, help of employee class name, and or else you can create object for the class employee e dot doc also there. Document string only this is. So this is not a program. This is just information. Next, we will implement real program now. So how it will be program structure of object-oriented programming, object-oriented programming 2. I'm creating class. A moment, class name is employee. And in this employee, I'm taking one method. Look at this. So we have created in previous examples also a lot of functions. But from now onwards, you can see whatever you are defining the functions here. So you should say this is methods. Okay, this is method, you can call it as. Okay, just name convention. So previously we called them as a function, no? If it is class is not there, it's a function only. Look at this, class keyword is not there. It's become function now. So F1, it's your own function, and we can write any logic here. But same stuff under comes into class. Look at this. Inside the class I'm using, inside the class I'm taking this df F1. It's called method. Why? Because every method inside the class by default one parameter is there. Self is the parameter. Look at this. The moment when I create method, automatically it's creating what? A self variable. Now we can see df m1 method, or any name you can take method name. M1 I'm taking. The moment when we close the open the bracket, you can see self is automatically come. So this is the difference you have to notice. But then I don't include class employees. So this df method is just function only. It's not a method. So what I'm saying, same structure, what we are going to use now onwards, any function declaration inside the class, this we can call it as a method. And if it is not their class, then we can call it as a function only. So why? Because every method in object-oriented programming is having default parameter that is self only. Okay, I'll talk about this later. Method. First, I'm trying to discuss one class, employee class. Inside the employee class, I'm taking one constructor here. So I'll talk about constructor also in tomorrow's session. Clearly, don't worry. But just observe the structure of the program today, basic structure of object-oriented programming. So the moment when I try to use underscore underscore init underscore underscore, init means initialization. In Python, always we can call it as constructor name is what? This name only. So init means initialization. Constructor first parameter is self. So generally constructor is used to what? Construct something. Construct something means create something, like build something. So I want to use this constructor for initialize my employee fields, like employee ID equals to 123. Anything if you want to initialize compulsory inside the constructor, self through only we have to use. Self is not a keyword, self is a special variable. So using self, we can access current class members. Don't worry about today program. Tomorrow you will get full clarity why I am writing all these things. But I am showing here today my intention is how object-oriented programming structure is look like. So self dot ename employee name equals to any name I'm taking. Self dot okay employee address. But look at this, the moment when I try to give ename, underline squiggle is there. So actually this is also two names are there. E underscore name is a valid. So according to PEP standard Python enhancement proposal, because here E is one word and name is another word like this. So this is better actually. Otherwise we can go for directly one word letters also, not a problem. Ename equal to Sai. So self dot e address e address e underscore address equals to hyd. So here also I'm giving some space. So that is standard way to write the code. Now you can see this is perfect. Okay, employee ID. Self dot employee age, I'm taking employee age equals to 45 like this. So these are the details of employee details I'm initializing one by one using this constructor. Okay, look at this. These details if you want to print, so what I can do, that I need to create one more method. So this method is our own method name. So display emp details. But look at this, this is my method name. So method name can be of any name. Even I will discuss in detailed what is the difference between constructor and method in tomorrow's session. But look at this, the moment when I write display emp underscore details, it's also showing some underline squiggly. So naming convention of method is always in Python snake convention. Snake convention means every word separated with underscore. This is the valid naming convention in Python. So display underscore emp underscore details. If your method name is multiple words, each words can be separate with underscore. This is called snake convention. And this method I'm preparing, just I want to display employee details. So let's try to display one by one. Employee ID is self dot employee ID. So print employee name is then self dot employee name. Print employee address is self dot what we can say the address, and print employee age is then self dot employee age. So this is what actually class creation and variables and methods. As I said that what is class? Class is a collection of variables and methods. Look at this. Inside this class, what methods are there? Special method is there, that is constructor. Normal method is there. This is our own method. Methods are having variables eid, ename, eaddress, eage clearly. So this is the class collection of variables and methods. Now we can see when I execute this program, object oriented programming 2. So do you have any outputs? Or no output? Because if you want to represent a class, what is required? Object is required. As I said that object is an instance of class, or it is used to represent a class. Is there any object in my case? No. So if you want to access variables and methods, compulsory object is required. So but there don't be any object in my program. Here you can see class is there, employee class, special method is there like constructor, init, initialization, and display emp details method is there. But how to consume or access this stuff means we have to create object. How to create object? Object name, class name. So the moment when we create object to the class, automatically constructor will execute. Constructor part is what actually it will initialize all the values. Means initialization means it will assign the values to the variables one by one. As soon as when we create object to the class, constructor will execute automatically. When constructor executes, and in this body I have included what? Just variable values and assigned to this variables. Initialization part takes place. After initialization completes, I have to display student details also. So where I have display code in this method only. But you know that when it will execute, methods will execute. Whenever we call methods, then only will execute. Otherwise, it will not execute. But did I call the method? No. But how I can call this method directly? Can I call this method like this with method name? No. So why not, sir? Because this method under comes into what? Employee class. Who will represent employee class? E only. So that's what E is an object. So E dot display MP details you have to call. This is the meaning. Because if the method is directly available without class, directly we can call this method name. But right now this method is not available directly. It's available where? Inside the class only available. So compulsory we have to call this method display underscore emp underscore details method using what? Object reference only, E dot. So the moment when we call this, so we get output here. Employee ID 1234, employee name, employee address, employee age. This is the basic structure of object oriented programming in Python. Same structure you are going to see in our upcoming session. Note this point. This is the class name, this is the constructor name, this is the method name, this is the object creation of the class, and this is the calling place clearly. So class keyword is required to create a class. Function def keyword is required to define the function or special methods, and self is the variable, it's not a keyword. You will all come to know in tomorrow session clearly difference between init, constructor, and method is what. Only method is enough or only constructor is enough. Both are required. Okay, what is self? Everything in detail I'll explain in tomorrow's session. But note this point, this is the exactly structure of program what I am going to discuss in upcoming sessions in object-oriented programming. So once you understand this structure, it will be easy to manage the code in object-oriented programming. Same structure I will follow in upcoming session. So class creation after compulsory colon is required. If you miss the colon, then it will give error. So you can see this error. Colon is mandatory. So in other programming languages, class creation after they will follow like this. So class name like this. Access modifiers also they'll use public class. Class name is employee. Okay, employee, open bracket, close bracket, like this they'll use. But in Python, this kind of syntax not there. Will follow Unix syntax in Python. So that's all for now today. So I'll send this recorded video after a few hours. You can check your mails. We'll see in tomorrow's session in detailed what is class and constructor and method differences. Okay, how to access this employee details. Is this only printing option or any other options are there to print employee details? In details we'll discuss.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.